All right, IM2 classes. Today we're solving quadratic equations by graphing. We're starting our um, our unit of solving quadratic equations. This is We're going to do a couple of different methods. We're starting off with graphing. A quick reminder of what a quadratic equation is. Quadratic equation is the equation. This would be the standard form: ax squared plus bx plus c. We've already done a lot with quadratic equations. We have already graphed them. We factored them. We've messed around with them quite a bit. Now we're going to solve them. So we're going to have problems that look like this. It's going to be equal to 0. We're going to solve for x. Today, our first way to do it is solving by graphing. So here are the basic steps to solving a quadratic by graphing. First, make sure it's in standard form with the ax squared plus bx plus c. You are going to graph that ax squared plus bx plus c, and then you're going to find the x-intercepts. That's where the graph crosses the x-axis. That is the solution to a quadratic equation. A lot of times when they say solve this quadratic, they'll say find the roots or find the zeros. What you're doing is finding the zeros is you're finding where the graph crosses the x-axis. It's where x is, where y is equal to 0, and that's what we're going to be doing here. So we're finding where the graph crosses the x-axis. We will not be graphing any of these by hand. To be honest, my opinion, solving by graphing, if you're working by hand, is the worst way to solve a quadratic equation. When you're graphing, it's tedious. If you want to be accurate, it's tedious. It takes a long time, and it's just not a great way to do it. So what we are going to be doing is using some graphing utilities to graph these for us. Just look at the graphs. Real simple today. First part, what we're going to be doing is just looking at graphs the book gives us. We're going to find the two real solutions. So here's our quadratic equation: x squared plus 2x minus 3. We are just looking at where it crosses the y-axis here. These points are the solutions to the graph. So this point goes left 1, 2, 3. That's -3, 0. And this one here has that's at 1, 0. So our solutions are just x equals -3 and 1. That's it. You just got to find where the graph crosses the x-axis or y-axis. Yeah, x-axis. It might not cross at 2 spots. It might look something like this, where we just have the 1 point, if its vertex is right there on the x-axis. So the coordinate of this point is 4, 0, right? So the solution of this graph is just x equals 4. Well, that quadratic is x equals 4. That's it. Next, sometimes it doesn't cross. So look at this graph. It crosses the y-axis, but we are not concerned with that when we're finding solutions. We just want to see where it crosses the x-axis. And it doesn't. So this means there is no solutions, no real solution. You'll learn in IM3 that these things have imaginary solutions or complex solutions. We're not concerned with those. So we're just going to say there's no real solutions. If it doesn't cross the x-axis, the graph is, above it, not crossing. That's all we need to do. All right. So first assignment is just looking at some graphs, finding those solutions. Next, we are going to just make sure equations are in standard form. So remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. And it's going to be, we want it equal to 0. So we want everything on one side of the equal sign, and it being equal to 0. So this one, we just have that 3 over here. So what we need to do is just move the 3 to the other side. You can't just pick it up and move it. You got to do some proper operations here. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. +3 minus 3 cancels out over here. I get x squared plus 2x minus 3. No like terms here, so it's not like -1x, all right? Just move it over like that, equals 0. There we go, standard form. So this one, very similar, just add 10 to both sides. And so here I'll be left with x squared plus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. That's it. Just making sure everything is on the same side of the equal sign. Here, we just want to make sure that it is in the correct order. So what I'm going to do here on this one is add x squared to both sides. I'm going to add it because I want the x squared first. Standard form, it goes x squared, x, no x. Make sure it is in the correct order. So this one's going to be x squared plus 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. This one over here, again, in the standard form, I need to subtract 12x, and that one's going to go in the middle, in between the two. So again, x squared, x, no x on those terms. So x squared minus 12x plus 36 is equal to 0. Not going to fix that line that went through. We're getting it. All right. So next up, we're going to solve by graphing. And this is what I'm talking about. Some people may have you do this by hand. Don't solve by graphing by hand. Waste of your time. All right. Use a graphing utility. What we're going to use today is Desmos. So right here, I have the x squared minus 5x. You need to remember that. I'm going to switch over to Desmos here. If I can, here it is. So switch over to Desmos, and I forgot what it was. It was x squared minus 5x. So I'm going to put in the x squared minus 5x. I can, it has this little keyboard down here. So if I do x squared minus 5x, there it has the graph. Nice, it has the points, so it crosses at 0, 0. If you click on the points, you can see, and this one crosses at 5, 0. Back to our solution there. So let's go to 0, 0, and 5, 0. So that means the solution to this is just x equals 0 or 5. Has two solutions. So this one, to graph this one, we need to make sure it's in standard form. So I like to have the x squared positive when you're putting it into decimals. It's actually not going to make a big difference, or actually on this one it would. So what you want to do is I'm going to bring these things to the left side, just have that x squared positive. So minus 6x over here. So it's going to be, sorry, that got messy, but it's going to be x squared minus 6x equals -9. And then I still need to bring the 9 over. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And then I'm going to get x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 0. And so that's the one I'm going to graph. So let's go back to Desmos. X squared minus 6x plus 9. Need to remember that. All right. X squared minus 6x plus 9. There we go. It only crosses at the one spot. So the coordinate is 3, 0. So the solution to my graph is x equals 3. Oh, I did not. What am I sharing here? Let me share. All right, back to this one. So the solution is x equals 3 because we found that on the graph. And that will do it for us today. We'll see you next time when we are graphing or solving quadratics in other ways.